Chad, chatter again, once again, with Daniel Snyder and the Washington Commanders, where yesterday we mentioned that there was a report out that he was blocking Jeff Bezos from making a formal offer through Bank of America, that they weren't allowing him to make that offer. They're handling all the finances for this. And then within 24 hours, before we even start the show again today, there are more details out with this, where a report is out from the Washington Post that Dan Snyder, owner of the Commanders, has demanded that the NFL indemnify him if there is future liability or costs through this investigation that's been going on. If he refuses to sell the team, which is what he's threatening to do or has done, Goodell's apparently really livid about it, that there could be a vote to remove him from that position as one of the 32 NFL owners, which they've never taken a vote before to remove an NFL owner. The NFL, by the way, they've also been asked, according to reports, to keep the investigation and the information that Mary Jo White finds out from her internal investigation of workplace management and everything going on with the Commanders. Snyder wants to keep all of that confidential and private, but the NFL has already said they're going to release the report publicly. That's what they've told fans and media that have been asking about this. He wants all of that confidential. I will say that the details are fascinating because of the rivalry between Bezos, who is, of course, the owner of the Washington Post, that's reporting this, and then you have Snyder, who's blocking him from making an offer. Meanwhile, he's not getting the offer that he wants, plus he's not getting the cooperation of the owners to agree to this. So he's threatening not to sell and just remain the owner. But these other details come out about financial misconduct, which is at the crux of what Mary Jo White and the investigation is looking into. Details came out that around a financial misconduct, and this is through ESPN, Snyder allegedly took a $55 million loan through the franchise without informing the minority owners at the time. At the time this took place, it was 18 months before Snyder bought out the minority ownership of Fred Smith of FedEx, Dwight Scharr, who's the founder of a Fortune 500 company, and Robert Rothman, who is the founder and CEO of a private investment firm. Those three men made up 40% of ownership, but they didn't know about this $55 million loan through the franchise that they co-own with Snyder that he took out against the team. And he's also borrowing or charging the team $4.5 million to put the team logo on his private jet, charging
$4.5 million, by the way.
$4.5 million for the logo.
For something that gives them no real advertising value.
And paying himself $10 million in salary to lease his private jets to the team, again, that he's the majority owner of at the time. He's since bought them out. But this is three billionaires going head-to-head with another guy. And meanwhile, Jerry Jones is negotiating with Snyder on behalf of the owners. I think there is a perception that the owners are going to just run into a room and vote. But here's why they don't want to do that. Because if he sells, and I still think it's headed that way. He can threaten all he wants. If he sells the team on his own accord, quote unquote, wink, wink, that's going to be a record-setting sale price for an NFL franchise. Then you have the other organizations after that meeting, if not far exceeding that sell price for the foreseeable future. So you reset the bar, you get the guy out that you want out without voting him out and setting a precedent of that, which they don't want to do. I think the owners will be patient with this, despite reports that there's going to be this fervor to rush into a room and have an immediate vote. I think the only way it gets to that point, if Snyder just comes out publicly and says, we're not leaving, I'm not leaving, I'm remaining the owner, and then details emerge of this financial investigation. Which, by the way, the Commanders released a statement on the $55 million that apparently was taken out as a loan through the franchise, but the other owners didn't know about it. And the Commanders spokesperson said in 2019, the team distributed amounts significantly in excess of the maximum amount of credit line to each of its shareholders. all distributions by the team were and have always been made on a pro rata basis to all shareholders. As is the case for any NFL franchise, we are audited annually, and we will be completely transparent in sharing all financials with the league in their review and oversight. Crazy story, and here we go again with Dan Snyder.
And Dan Snyder, his threat to the league, and bear with me here because this is hilarious, is I will just continue to own this team. And that will be the biggest embarrassment to you and everyone else is I just won't sell.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the ghost of Christmas past. I will continue to be the ghost of problems past in Washington and the future. And I will embarrass you. I'll do whatever I want. I'll continue to mismanage this organization. I will be morally, ethically against everything that the league says they stand for. I'm going to take money where I want. I'm going to use this team as my own ATM. I'm going to charge them for anything I put on my private jet. I'm going to continue to do whatever the hell I want if you don't give me exactly what I want. Because exactly what you want, NFL, and every owner, is to sell for this record price and get Daniel Snyder out of the league. But what Daniel Snyder is saying is basically, hey, I did all this because the NFL. Guys, you understand, right? To the other 31 owners, he's like, you get it. I mean, we get going in this thing. We're making a lot of money. You know, we might cut some loose ends here and there. We might do some different things. Corners are cut. I'm going to do what I need to get to the point that I want to get to. Jerry, you get it. I'm going to negotiate with Jerry Jones. Jerry, come on. You've got it passed. You understand it. It's because the NFL that I did all these things. I got fat and happy, but I wasn't happy enough, so I kept getting fatter the entire time in any way that I could. And Jerry, you get it. You understand, Jerry, right? Come on. Work with me here, Jerry. It's because of the NFL I did all these things. So the NFL must protect me from future liability because I'm only doing all this because the NFL.
Yeah, give me
you guys understand. So compensate me, protect me from all future litigation, and then I'll sell your precious franchise for that precious record amount. This is all just fascinatingly hilarious to me, the whole story.
Well, and don't forget, there were early on. One of the big report on this. It was ESPN, Washington Post. One of them said that Snyder was like having a private. The report was that there's a private investigator out with Jerry Jones. Remember that?
Yeah.
And you have Jerry Jones, in effect, negotiating a peace treaty between one of the other NFL owners right now, behind the scenes, trying to, hey, we'd like to have a record-breaking sale for the NFL franchise that you own. Take your $6.5 billion and go about your way. And meanwhile, we avoid all litigation. We don't have to take this to court because Snyder's also threatened to sue the league if they don't indemnify him. And then you have, of course, the NFL that's saying, we're going to have this stand up in court if we vote you out. We'll take you to court. This is crazy. And there will be a long standoff.
So someone responded to our conversation on Twitter and says, I don't understand how you can force someone to sell their own property. Wouldn't that make the price plummet? They can vote the team out of the league, but they can't force him to sell. My response to that is...
No, they can remove him as owner.
Remove him as owner, not take the team completely out. But the price isn't plummeting because even though he's getting forced to sell, there's multiple billionaire buyers that are highly motivated that's forcing the price up. So even if it's a league decision to force him to sell, which pretty much is, they want him to sell, and I think he's sort of abiding by that with his own little addendums to how the deal is going to go down. But when you have billionaire buyers that are highly motivated to get their hands on an NFL franchise, then that price isn't going to go anywhere.
Well, it's already $1 billion more.
Yep.
And reports are he wants upwards of $7 billion. The record price right now is 4.6, which was the Denver Broncos, which Walton purchased. But reports are through Front Office Sports, Snyder's already received an offer at least of $5.5 billion, and there are other reports that go higher than that, although none of those have been confirmed through Front Office Sports as to exactly who has made that bid. We know Tillman Fertitta's in the mix. Harris, the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, who's from D.C., is in the mix. Bezos wants to be, but he also knows the Seattle Seahawks and the trust with the Allen family. That's going to be up for sale. and he can jump in the league that way too after already being vetted the last couple of times through these other organizations. And who knows, maybe it doesn't stop with Seattle. Maybe there's another team we don't know is on the forefront of being the next team after Washington. But it doesn't have to be Snyder's franchise. The NFL owners want it to be next and want it to be soon because they want to be done with this.
And understandably so. They want all this to end.